Next question. I am a teacher and have a 403B annuity. Is that a good investment? So one thing is I'm never going to make specific investment recommendations. I will explain to you what various terms are. But the other thing to know as well is that without knowing anything about you, anything about your personal financial situation, it would be irresponsible for me to ever kind of make a judgment call as to whether something is a good investment or not for you. A good investment for you is going to be specific to your kind of goals, your risk tolerances, your objectives, kind of like, when are you trying to retire? Like, do you care more about certainty as opposed to upside potential? Things like that. So a 403B annuity, let's start with the 403B part. A 403B is essentially a retirement account offered by typically some type of government entity, and it's usually most associated with like public schools. Can be similar to like a 401k, and really the difference in the letters just has to do with the type of employer that it is. It doesn't have a whole lot to do kind of with how it necessarily functions for you. However, there are different options that an employer can set up within a retirement plan. Most common that most people have access to is sort of where you make contributions and then you can allocate those contributions across a series of investments like mutual funds and things like that. Another option that an employer can set up is what you're describing, which is an annuity. And an annuity is simply that you put up some amount of money up front, and in exchange in retirement over some period of time, you get a set payout in exchange. So there's benefits and there's, negatives to an annuity. The benefit is the certainty that it's going to provide. It's going to guarantee you, based on the amount of money you put in, a certain amount fixed payment consistently over a specific period of time. And some people value that certainty. The downside is that it's likely going to cap your upside. So in exchange for that certainty, it's going to limit your upside potential. They're basically going to take that money, they're going to invest it, in return generating assets for you. And they've made a whole bunch of assumptions on like what they think that return proposition can be. They're going to keep some piece of that for themselves, and they're going to give you a guaranteed payment stream in exchange. But it's going to cap your upside potential. It's going to limit your downside, right? Like you're never going to necessarily lose money in an annuity, but you're potentially not going to realize the upside that you could if you were investing it for yourself and taking that risk on yourself. You're basically transferring that risk to them, and so you're paying them a fee for that, and then they're giving you a guaranteed payment stream in exchange. Now, whether that is a good trade-off or not depends on you. It depends on kind of like, if you don't have a high tolerance for risk, maybe that's something that you're more comfortable with. And so that is kind of the way to think about, whether it is a good investment or not, depends on kind of what you are comfortable with and like what you want out of it for your goals. So I hope that helps. But an annuity, that's how most annuities work. You put up some sort of lump sum up front, and in exchange, it guarantees you a fixed payment stream over some period of time. And the cost associated with it, or the trade-off, is you're limiting your downside, but you're also going to cap your upside, and you're going to pay fees in exchange for that trade-off. Okay. Next question. And this kind of falls in the same bucket a little bit. It says, my husband just retired and we met with a financial planner. Right now we have everything in an IRA and a little in a Roth. She's suggesting changing to an annuity and an LIRP, which stands for a life insurance retirement plan. How do you feel about annuities and LIRPs? So I'm going to kind of put this in the same bucket. Like if you met with a financial planner, you laid out, like she has a much fuller, or they, whoever you met with, have a much fuller picture of your financial situation. You hopefully articulated to them kind of like your comfort level with risk, your goals for retirement, what you want your lifestyle to look like in retirement, and they're then making recommendations based on that far more full knowledge than I have from, this small question box that you're giving me. What I would tell you is make sure you understand how both of those products that they're recommending work. So we just talked about an annuity. A life insurance retirement plan is kind of it's a whole life insurance policy. So the premiums associated with it are going to be multi-$100s a month, especially if you are already in retirement and at a more significant age. So why might somebody enter into that? Well, they often have a cash value associated with them. You may be able to put like a large lump sum of the retirement assets that you have set aside already up front into it, and there's a cash value component associated with it, and you can borrow money against that cash value, which gives you kind of income in retirement that is not taxed, because it's essentially like your like if you took out a mortgage, for example, those mortgage proceeds are not taxed. It's similar to the way like a millionaire or a billionaire or a founder of a big company, they can borrow money against the shares they have invested in their company, and they don't get taxed on what they borrow against those shares the way that they would if they sold them and realized capital gains. So it's a way to have like tax deferred or tax-free revenue or income in retirement. Now, what are the cons, or the things that like the questions you should be asking around those things is, why are they recommending those products for you? What goals and objectives are they meeting for you? And are there other options that could be better that have potentially lower fees associated with them? I would want them to be very transparent on like, what are the commissions that you're earning by recommending these things to me? And are these really in my best interest, or are you recommending them because they're giving you a good commission stream? Because both annuities and LIRPs or LIRPs typically offer significant sales commission to the people recommending them. So make sure you understand that. And then ultimately, like if you're trusting the advice of a financial planner, you want to have trust and confidence in them. And so like if you're asking me my opinion on this because you don't trust their opinion, that to me is also a red flag. Like whoever you're going to for financial advice, who you're giving all your information to, you want to make sure that you have a good basis of trust with them. So if that is kind of like, if you're in your gut are feeling like something about this doesn't feel right, like meet with somebody else. But the biggest thing is like, make sure that they can clearly articulate to you how those products work. Why are they recommending them to you? Be transparent about the fees and costs and the benefit to them of recommending these products to you, and then make your decision from there. Both of those things are going to give you kind of more certainty in your retirement income. So rather than having like a significant amount of your income invested and potentially still fluctuating with the ups and downs of the market, you're kind of locking in greater certainty. But at the same time, you're potentially, locking in greater certainty and also potentially reducing your tax liability, your tax consequences in the years to come. But the flip side is that you're potentially going to be paying fees in exchange for that, and also limiting your upside potential. So again, depending on your personal goals, your objectives, your tax bracket, your net worth, all of that, it could be a good recommendation for you, but just make sure you understand all of that kind of before you sign up for it. So I hope that that helps.